Hello, I'm Felicity, 37 years old, and I have quite a story to share, one that took a shocking turn and tested my resilience. Let me tell you how I handled it because I am not someone who allows myself to be deceived. Unlike the usual stories of strained relationships with in-laws, my mother-in-law and I actually got along well, at least, that's what I believed. Our bond was warm, respectful, and seemingly perfect. My husband, Frank, was my soulmate, my partner in crime, and my best friend. From my perspective, our life was idyllic. Of course, no marriage is without its arguments, but nothing ever seemed alarming, no red flags, no signs of betrayal, until everything unraveled in the most unexpected way. What happened next shattered my trust and forced me down a path of retribution against both my husband and mother-in-law. It all started with what was meant to be a generous, heartfelt gesture. I had planned a beautiful vacation for Frank and me, a chance to escape and reconnect. But in a moment of kindness, I decided to extend the invitation to Tiana, my widowed sister-in-law, who had been feeling lonely. I covered nearly all the expenses, flights, accommodations, meals, and activities, asking only that Frank and Tiana handle their personal expenses. The destination? Spain, a dream getaway filled with tapas, flamenco, and the breathtaking streets of Barcelona. I was excited, envisioning the trip as a chance to strengthen our family bond and create unforgettable memories. But little did I know, this vacation would mark the beginning of my worst nightmare. The day I revealed the surprise, I stood in the living room, plane tickets in hand, my heart brimming with anticipation. As I gathered Frank and Tiana, they exchanged curious glances. Tiana, ever composed, tilted her head slightly, studying me. With a smile, I handed them the tickets and eagerly shared my plans. Frank's face lit up with excitement. "Felicity, you're truly something else," he said, his voice full of gratitude. Tiana's reaction was more measured, but she smiled warmly. "Oh, Felicity, this is beyond generous. I don't even have the words to thank you." At that moment, I felt proud, believing my effort was appreciated. I thought this trip would solidify the bonds between us, making our family even closer. But as you might suspect, appearances can be deceiving. Beneath the surface of our seemingly harmonious lives, a betrayal was brewing, one that would rip apart everything I held dear. We boarded the plane as planned, embarking on what should have been 2 weeks of bliss. The first week was magical, exploring Spain's rich history, savoring paella, laughing under the Mediterranean sun. I truly believed we were building lifelong memories. Then, everything changed. One Monday morning, as golden sunlight streamed into our hotel room, I awoke to an eerie silence. Frank's side of the bed was empty. I glanced around, no sign of him. Tiana's things were missing, too. A sudden chill crept up my spine. I reached for my phone, my fingers trembling as I dialed their numbers. Voicemail, again and again. I called, no answer. The silence was suffocating. My heart pounded as I searched the room. No note, no explanation, just the chilling realization that I had been left behind, alone. Minutes stretched into what felt like an eternity before my phone finally buzzed. A wave of relief washed over me. Tiana's name flashed on the screen, but when I answered, her voice wasn't the warm, familiar one I knew. It was cold, distant. "Felicity, I figured I should return your call since you wouldn't stop ringing." Confused and desperate for answers, I asked, "Where are you? What's going on? Your bags are gone," and I was worried something happened. Her next words sent an icy shiver down my spine. "We left you." I blinked, my breath caught in my throat. "What? Why?" "I couldn't bear another week in your company," she said flatly. My mind raced. Did I do something wrong? A bitter chuckle, then, a reply that cut deeper than I ever imagined. "Yes, I mean, how could you be so dense?" "Excuse me, Den." Tiana's voice was sharp, almost irritated, cutting through the shock already settling in my chest. "You sprung this trip on me, practically forcing me to go. I couldn't keep pretending anymore. Let me make this crystal clear for you. Felicity, I don't enjoy your company." Her words struck like a slap, each syllable chipping away at the trust one had blindly placed in her. "Sure, I can tolerate a few hours with you at family events, but 2 weeks?" I tried, I really did. I forced myself to be civil, to push through, but I could only last a week before I felt like I was losing my mind. "I'm sorry, but I'm on my way to the airport with Frank. We just can't stand being around you anymore." I stood frozen, my mind racing to make sense of what I'd just heard. How could she say this? How could someone I had embraced as family, someone I had invited on this trip out of kindness, turn around and treat me like this? What did I do? My voice wavered, the pain seeping through. What exactly have I done to deserve this? We got along fine. Or at least, I thought we did. If there was an issue, why not talk to me about it? Why blindside me like this? Tiana exhaled, as if exhausted by my existence. That's the thing, I can't even pinpoint it, she admitted. You just irk me. I blinked. What? You heard me. Something about you just rubs me the wrong way. That's the most childish thing I've ever heard, I snapped, anger overriding my grief. You're telling me you hate me, enough to abandon me in a foreign country, just because I annoy you? That's your grand excuse? It doesn't matter if you think it's childish, she said with a shrug in her voice. What matters is how I feel, and I just don't like being around you. Then why did you even come on this trip? I demanded. Tiana scoffed. Because it was a free trip to Spain. Who would turn that down? But as the days went by, I realized I couldn't fake it anymore. My blood boiled. What antics of mine were so unbearable? Silence. That silence was louder than any excuse she could have given. I clenched my jaw, pushing past the rising tide of emotions. I needed to hear it from Frank, the man who was supposed to love me. Put Frank on the phone. There was a shuffling sound before his voice came through, emotionless and detached. Hello. Really, Frank? My voice shook, but not with sadness, with rage. You left me too? I didn't leave you because I don't like you, he said flatly. I left because my mother wanted to go home. I nearly laughed at the absurdity of it. So you knew about all of this? How long have you known your mother apparently despises me? For a while now, he admitted. I was hoping this trip would bring her closer to you, but I was wrong. And it never crossed your mind to talk to me? To fix whatever this supposed issue is? Again, silence. The truth settled into my bones, cold and bitter. His mother hated me for a reason so trivial, she couldn't even name it. Maybe it was jealousy, maybe she resented something I had that she didn't, and maybe, just maybe, she knew how ridiculous she'd sound if she admitted it out loud. Am I right? I asked, voice tight with restrained fury. The silence that followed was answer enough. I exhaled sharply. I didn't realize you both felt this way. Safe travels home. I ended the call, my hands shaking, my heart pounding. I paced the hotel room, disbelief washing over me in waves. How could they do this? How could the people I considered family abandon me so heartlessly? I sat down, my emotions finally spilling over. Tears burned down my cheeks as I let the betrayal sink in. But then, something shifted. I had spent my life being kind, being understanding, making excuses for people who didn't deserve it, but not anymore. Wiping away my tears, I reached for my phone. There was one person I could trust, someone who had always had my back. I dialed Arlo's number. When he picked up, his familiar, steady voice instantly soothed me. Felicity, what's wrong? I took a deep breath. I need your help. Arlo was silent for a moment before he said, whatever it is, I'm in. A small smile tugged at my lips, despite everything. You know how your construction company always has excess sawdust? Yeah, he said slowly, it's a hassle to get rid of sometimes. I think I've found the perfect use for it. His curiosity was piqued. Go on. I laid out my plan, my voice steady and sure. Bags of sawdust, delivered straight to Tiana's house, every corner, every crevice, filled, a silent, lingering reminder of the stress and humiliation she had inflicted on me. Arlo chuckled, low and approving. Felicity, you are a force to be reckoned with. That's the plan. There was just one more detail left to figure out. How are we getting inside the house? Before they returned. You need to get the spare key, it's under the potted plant on the patio. Once you have it, you're in. Arlo chuckled. Wow, you thought of everything, huh? I smirked. I'm a reasonable woman, until I'm not. If they want to act childish, I'll show them what real pettiness looks like. The hours crawled by, my anticipation mounting. I kept glancing at my phone, waiting for Arlo's confirmation. Then, like a symphony reaching its crescendo, my phone chimed. Arlo had sent pictures. I opened them eagerly, and my breath hitched. Tiana's once pristine home now looked like a disaster zone, drowned in an ocean of sawdust. It covered everything, the floors, the furniture, even the chandelier. Every crevice had been filled, every surface dusted in chaos. It was the perfect storm, a reflection of the turmoil they had inflicted on me. I called Arlo immediately. The moment he picked up, his laughter erupted through the speaker, infectious and wild. I joined in. the catharsis washing over me. I can't thank you enough, I said between breaths. You've been incredible, helping me deliver this well-deserved karma. Arlo exhaled, amused. Naughty can be so satisfying, my friend. Now, all that was left to do was wait. The anticipation was intoxicating. How would Frank and Tiana react when they stepped into their sawdust-coated nightmare? Would they scream? Cry? My fingers itched to grab the popcorn. Hours later, my phone vibrated violently against the nightstand. I answered, barely containing my excitement. It was Frank. Felicity, it's just, he exhaled sharply, clearly overwhelmed. It's awful. Mom is in hysterics. I bit back a grin. Oh, what happened? You know what happened, he snapped. The house is completely wrecked. I let a slow, satisfied breath escape. Well, sounds like karma's a real pain, huh? Frank's voice dropped into a suspicious whisper. Wait, was this you? Before I could answer, Tiana's shrill wail cut through the phone. How could you do this to me? I barely stopped myself from laughing. I have no idea what you're talking about, Tiana. Don't play games, who else would do this? Well, I mused, it's surprisingly easy to break into an unsecured home. You really should invest in some security cameras. Tiana gasped, probably realizing just how vulnerable she'd been. Felicity, this isn't funny. When are we supposed to sleep? The sawdust is making my lungs ache. I'd scared. Oh dear, you must have forgotten to grab the keys to my house before you abandoned me in Spain. That's a real shame. Felicity, please, can we just? Where are you staying now? Another hotel? I interrupted sweetly. I hope you budgeted for an extended stay. I booked 2 weeks in Spain. After all, and who knows? I might decide to extend my vacation. Tiana's wails escalated in the background. My furniture, my rugs, everything is ruined. Frank took the phone again, his voice low and defeated. Felicity, this was foul. How could you do this? I sighed dramatically. I don't know why you're assuming I had anything to do with this. I mean, how could I? I'm currently sipping a cocktail in the hotel jacuzzi. Their silence was delicious. They knew. They knew I had orchestrated this, but without proof, their frustration had nowhere to land. Well, I said, suppressing a chuckle, I hope you both enjoy your evening. Let me know if you need hotel recommendations. Before they could respond, I ended the call, exhaling in satisfaction. I knew what I'd done was a little extreme, maybe even dangerous, considering Tiana's age, but let's be honest, they wouldn't dare stay in that house overnight, not with sawdust choking every breath they took. They'd be stuck bouncing between hotels, scrambling to find a cleaning crew willing to take on the mess, and once it was all said and done, Tiana would have no choice but to stay in my home while they waited for repairs. Oh, how ironic. For someone who couldn't stand my company, she was about to be stuck with me. This should serve as a lesson. Some people only learn the hard way, and if you're going to be the villain in their story, you might as well make it worth their while.